All right. Well, I'm going to call the meeting of the Groton Board of Education Policy Committee to order. It's Tuesday, January 13th, and it's 6:05 p.m. So the first item on our agenda is call to order, and I will say that we have all members present, myself, Andrea Ackerman, and Sean Corcoran. Also in attendance from the board, I see our chairperson, Bev Washington. I don't see everyone yet, but I'll scroll through. I think that's it for board members. And then from Groton Public Schools, we have Superintendent Austin, Assistant Superintendent Mancini, Fitch Principal, Matt Brown, Fitch Assistant Principal, Amy McKenna. And as I'm scrolling, I think maybe that's it. If anyone else is here, they didn't say. Oh, and we have our director of finance, Rita Parsiak, or is it Parkiak? Good enough for right now. Correct me later, please. Okay. So that's who we have. And our next item is to review the minutes from our last meeting, which is on Tuesday, December 9th, 2025. I looked at them. I didn't see any issues myself. I was wondering if any of the other committee members would like any changes to that.
Oh, they're good.
They could look good to me.
Okay. I don't think we need to move to approve the minutes. I'll just say that we have reviewed them and they're approved. The next item is now we're getting into discussions on policies. And the first one up is policy 5113.13, credit for work experience. This is an entirely new policy, and I think Principal Brown will lead the discussion on this, but I'll just say briefly, this is coming out of a recent act that's quoted in the referred to in the policy that's requiring that all schools have it's credit for work and work release policy for high school students, I think over the age of 16. And then there's also something that's supposed to have come out of the Connecticut like Office of Workforce or Chief Workforce Officer. I couldn't find any of that policy online. I think others have looked too at CABE. So I'm not sure that the state level policy is there, but we do have ultimately a requirement to have a policy on the books. So that's the status as far as I can tell, and that's just my lead in to Principal Brown if you'd like to discuss the policy.
Sure. So this is. Can you guys hear me fine?
Oh, and if someone can project it, I'm on a different computer, so I can't do that myself. If not, we'll just make do.
I can do it.
Thank you.
And this is P5113.13. It fits in attendance. For some reasons, it makes sense.
Yeah. So as we're waiting for it to come up, basically the policy is to award credit for students for working. So as long as they can prove that they they work with their counselor and either me or one of the assistant principals in informing us what they'll be doing, and showing proof of work and so forth. And then they can gain credit for it. So you guys can read the policy up there. So work study, employment, credit for work experience. Do you guys want to read it? You want me to read it aloud?
I all read it, I think, Matt.
Okay. I think the biggest, and this is it's been a practice that we have had with some of our students in the past, where if they provide their work stubs and so forth, and we do award some credit for them working. This isn't like a common thing, but it has been done. And I think, it's a great way to entice, especially kids that are on the cusp of graduation or struggling to, gain some of their credits, a way to entice them to keep pushing through and, getting work and be able to get a paycheck, but also, uh, find a reason to go to school and get the credit that they need um, to fulfill all their credits to graduate. And really, I think this policy comes straight from the guidance from CABE, uh, as it's stated here.
Yeah, in terms of it coming from Gabe, I went through the whole thing, and I'm going to send it to Erica tomorrow. And I don't know where they studied English, but it wasn't at a four-year university, I can tell you that. So I made all the corrections that,
I appreciate that.
yeah. So, but there's none of the content was changed.
Doctor, I will be at and I think Beverly may be there tomorrow. There's a cave breakfast
Oh, yeah.
in Norwich at 7:30. If there's
Yeah.
anything you want us to address with cave, please let me know.
No, just tell them to send their kids, their writers back to school. That's it.
The Matt, Matt, I read this and I have no problem with any of this. The only question I have is there a way for us to, I know we have the eligible requirements. Is there a way to define credits? Because there's nowhere where we say the number of credits that they would receive.
I'm so glad you
Uh,
said that, Sean, because I thought it was me. I'm so
No, I
glad
had
you
to read
said
it
that.
again now to make sure
Yeah,
that was me.
yeah.
yeah, no, yeah, I'm not sure why that's not on there. And Amy, do you know exactly, like, it's, I think through the counselor and the administrator, they decide on the amount. It's not a lot of credits. I don't know the exact, you know, number of hours that are needed to earn the credit for their work experience. And I don't know if Amy, if you want to chime in to share what your
Sure. There is a set number, and I think it largely depends upon when the student actually gained the employment arrangement. And in terms of like how many credits, as Matt said, it's a very, very small number because the state obviously has its other requirements in terms of what content areas students have to earn credits in to graduate. So, we are kind of limited with the amount of credits we're able to award for work experience generally, but it could just be that one credit that helps that student along the path to graduation. And then it becomes a credit that they really enjoy earning because not only are they earning a paycheck, obviously, because they're gaining employment, but they're getting the work experience and connecting with people in the community and doing that. So it's a very rewarding thing to be able to do and to be able to make that arrangement with the student. I know that there was one piece under the eligibility requirements that Matt probably wanted to mention that the high school team
yeah.
just wanted to draw your attention to.
Yeah, if you keep scrolling down a little bit further. Right there is
Yeah.
perfect. Kate, thank you so much. So the first bullet here where it says the student must have acceptable attendance record and must not be considered chronically absent. Personally, I think as an admin team, we wouldn't want the wording must be considered chronically absent because these are a lot of times these are at-risk students, students that might have concerns with attendance, and we see this mostly as an opportunity when they get credit for work experience. It's like a hook to get some of those kids that are kind of on the cusp of will they graduate or will they not, and this is a nice way of telling them, hey, listen, you're if you get this job, we can get you that extra credit, and maybe this is the hook that actually improves their attendance. So a lot of times the population that we're awarding these credits for are going to be the ones that might be under that 10% threshold for absences. So
What would you
that's
like
the only
there?
part of this that concerns me. Sorry.
would you like that not there at all, or would you like it softened language, or what would you like
I
there?
personally would like softened language or strike through at least the part that says considered chronically absent.
How would you do that, Matt?
Even if it said, even if we could say the student must have acceptable attendance record, just so it's not so rigid on the actual
Mhm.
90% attendance rate. And I would be more concerned with, once this is in place, then we want to see even stronger attendance record. And like the next bullet I like too, because it talks about their attendance at that workplace. So, if they're attending the workplace and doing what they need behaviorally at that workplace, then I think we should be considering that credit.
And to Matt's point, oftentimes being able to award that credit for work experience is the thing that will draw them back to school. It re-engages them. And that's just kind of adds to that reason why if we could have that bullet point end after the word record, it would certainly be more applicable to our population.
Mike?
Yeah, thanks. I was just going to recognize you, Bev. Believe it or not,
Okay.
go for it.
I hear what they're saying at the high school, but I do think attendance in school is important. So I would hate to just end that. Let me say, the student must have acceptable attendance. And how are we going to define acceptable attendance? I mean, that seems like a vague statement to me. And it could be, well, Matt thinks, okay, you've been out 20 days, that's acceptable. And somebody else, Carmita, might think, oh, 25 days absent is acceptable. So I really like to define acceptable. The other thing
Yeah,
is, do we get a letter or something from the employer to state how the student is doing at work?
Yeah, we do.
Is that in this
They share
policy?
the progress. I believe it is on the first page.
Okay. I must have read it through it too fast.
it's sort of implied, but it wasn't really clear who was going to track how well they're doing, because it's talking about them, doing well in the work setting, but I didn't know if that it seems like it couldn't just be left up to the employer alone. So I think there's sort of an open question there. I'll find it if you guys can.
And Mike, I don't have a hand, so I can't raise my hand like Beverly is doing.
Oh, just talk anytime.
Oh, okay.
Beverly has to raise her hand. No, everyone should be able to talk, and I see Anne Marie's raising her hand as well. I think it'll work out.
Okay.
I mean, it does talk about, proof of the employment, so they have to maintain the employment. And it's reviewed quarterly by the principal or designee.
Yeah,
So
I see that, but it says proof of employment. I like to have like an
a check-in.
evaluation how they doing at the employment. I mean,
Mhm.
we just don't want to be getting credit just to be getting credit because we feel bad for the kids and all these kids are at risk, and so let's just throw them a credit here. I mean, let them earn their credit too.
Yeah, there's a there. It's sort of, we could work that in on the seventh bullet point down. It says the student is responsible for maintaining good attendance and behavior in the vocational setting, and I had just a question: who tracks that?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so maybe some of that could come through regulations, but maybe there's something to add on there, because you do want um, uh, good, at some level of good performance or accept
Right.
performance there. And Emery, I saw your hand up.
Thank you. I have some experience with this. My previous district, we had a lot of kids that worked in the community, especially in our alternative school. This was a big motivator for them. But we definitely had a strict attendance policy before they were allowed to go out into the workplace. We felt like that was really important. As we were talking to employers, one of the biggest things that they wanted, more so than their academic strengths, was kids that were going to come every day to the
Mm-hmm.
workplace and
Exactly.
show up every day. That was the biggest thing. So they didn't want us to give them kids that were not going to come. And so I think we're making a mistake by making a policy that is not strong, like requiring strong attendance. Maybe that, I can understand the philosophy, I guess, or the thinking behind saying this would be a motivator. But if we're not getting them to come to school every day, they're not going to come to the workplace every day. I feel like that's got to be foundation, and then they'll, if we're getting them to come to school, then absolutely, they can go to the job or the workplace, but they've got to come to school first.
I just think,
Yeah.
my advice would be as long that's fine. I just don't want that to be like they don't initially get recommended for this. Like if they're below the 90% threshold, either once this program is started, they show improvement with attendance or progress towards that 90%, or even if they reach that 90%. But I don't want this to restrict a kid who has struggling to find their credits, who are normally the kids that would be the ones that need this credit. We want this, as I said before, to be a hook to improve their credit.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying though, Matt. So we
Yeah.
had kids that they were at an alternative school. One of the reasons why they were placed in the alternative school was because they weren't coming to school regularly, and we had these programs in place saying, "Hey, if you come to school regularly, even this alternative school, here are all these programs." And we had a variety of different sites that they can go to. Some of them were really interested in, like we had mentoring programs for in our elementary schools where they, where some kids were really interested in that. Some kids were going to Pratt, similar to our EB program, and we had a variety of different things. But if for any of the opportunities we laid out for them, the first thing you got to do is come to school regularly. Second thing you got to do is start improving your grades. Third thing, we had a bunch of different conditions, but the very first thing they had to do is show us that they would, begin to they could show up to the workplace, and how they showed us that was that they had to start coming to school regularly. And these were kids that, beyond chronically absent in our traditional high school.
Yeah, I agree with Anne Marie. I think attendance is very important, really. We have a problem already with chronic absenteeism that we're trying to get under control. So
Right.
if we just say to these kids, okay, that's all right. I understand that you want to help these at-risk kids, but sometimes we're not helping them the way we should.
Well,
Dependability is very important. And to come to school shows you're dependable. Employers want dependability.
And these were
And
based, to your point, Bev, these were based 100% on our conversations by the employers that said, we want kids, we don't care if they're strong in math, we don't get, we'll get them there when they're employed by us, but we want people that are going to come to work every day.
Right. And the other reason I asked about how do we track, excuse me, Matt, I'm talking.
Sorry.
How do we track how they're doing at work too? Because I see a lot of these young people at work and they're on their doggone cell phones all the time. So I want to make sure that when they get the job, that they're actually working. And then that we're just not throwing credits away. I'm totally against that. I don't want to, that's all I'm going to say.
And I'm not advocating for that at all. I'm advocating that, some of these kids, if they have poor attendance, we're pushing them to start coming to school. I think maybe we're saying the same thing, but in different ways. I want to be able to encourage a kid to engage in a work environment. And if that's a way to improve their attendance, I think that's great. And that's kind of what we're striving for. I am concerned about if a kid's at 88% attendance rate, meaning they miss about, one day, or 2 days a month, but they're attending their work regularly. If they're not attending work, they're not going to maintain the job either.
Right.
And that's part of this credit is they need to, obviously any workplace, if they don't have the attendance to maintain the job, then they're not going to keep that at a quarterly rate. I'm just concerned about that, keeping the verbiage so that it's at 90%.
Well, I'm for keeping that must not be considered chronically absent into the policy.
Yeah, at this point, I can see that we might have to put a pin on it and kind of come back to it. Sean, I see your hand. I'll call on you next. One thing about it, I think when students are chronically absent, there's we have to and do have an attendance sort of intervention team. I don't remember
We
what
do.
it's called, but that might be a way to sort of have a standard and then have a, not really a waiver, but or have a defined plan for attendance improvement with the attendance intervention team. That might be a way around it, just at least because I see where this is coming from, and these are all good viewpoints, because you want the right, you want to have a successful experience that increases student engagement in their overall education. But maybe that's a way around it. And I don't know, Sean, if you were discussing that point or a different one. I
No,
just wanted to
my question
my
was addressed.
Okay. So we've definitely got that as a working point, right? My question is further up, and it's just a general question. Um, since we have students that sometimes do this, what happens with transportation? Um, is the school responsible in any way for getting a student back and forth? Do they sign a waiver like they would if they were going to a sports event on their own? Is that something we need to have in this policy? Because there's some things with the policy that I see need work, but I just want to make sure we've got the elements that are workable for Fitch High School.
Usually we don't provide the transportation, at least not in the, circumstances I've aware of. A lot of times, a lot of these places, they could even be transported by bus. And we could work with the bus company to change, where their drop off point is. But
So liability wise, I mean, even if a
it's a
student's
good
on a
question.
school bus, they're still in school, and we're in charge of what happens as a Board of Education of the Groton Public Schools. This seems like maybe it's not that case. You're off premises and in work. I'm wondering what happens if someone gets injured, things like that. I don't know if that would fit in, if we need a sentence about that. That was my big unanswered question for this. Well, I've got two actually, but that was one of them. I don't know if anyone knows.
I
I
can't
think it's a
answer
great
that.
question.
So we can find that one out. I can't see everyone's hand, but so I'm not gonna. Andrea, thank you very much for going through the grammar, and I'll accept whatever changes you make as friendly and well-informed amendments when it goes. One thing that I had a question is it mentions briefly, it's in the third line of the second paragraph. It just says vocational coordinator. And then it sort of is never brought up again. I get that this is from CABE. Who would be the vocational coordinator at Fitch? Like, I could think of some people, but who would we want to define that, or would we want to define that?
I mean, honestly, I think it would be the counselor in most cases, the counselor of that student who
Yeah,
would be coordinating a lot.
I just assuminated, as it were, that you had one when I saw that. No. Oh,
No.
heavens. I shouldn't have done that.
So maybe
So
the
then
head of guidance? Would
I
it
mean, we
be?
have a college and career coordinator, but
Yeah.
but I wouldn't put this responsibility on them. I
No.
would put in most cases this is coordinated through their actual counselor. So each counselor has a sixth of our population, so the counselor would be doing a lot of the coordination and then coordinating with the assistant principal and the principal.
So should we have the vocational coordinator? Should we put the guidance counselor? I mean, so that was a
Maybe
question.
/ guidance counselor, or
What do we have a vote? We don't have a vocational coordinator, do we?
no.
Not to
No.
do this.
So I think, Mike, we should take it out and just
Yeah.
put
Book
guidance
counselor.
counselor.
Yeah, I do too.
No slash.
Yep.
The proper term now is school counselor.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Anne Marie. School counselor.
I wouldn't want to offend any school counselors.
Okay.
That's true. Okay. let me see. I'm just kind of going through these. Oh, you mentioned the course credits, and this would be outside of the policy, but uh, do we have a course on the book that's just essentially work study? Because I could see that being a pretty easy description to write up and kind of because well, how does it appear in a transcript, for instance?
That was my
Right.
question too, Mike.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this and I'm saying, well, where does that course credit come from? Is it, under this, under the title of student work experience course, or is it, do they get credit in math if they're working for an accountant? Like, where does that go? Where does that credit come from?
It would be an elective credit. I don't know exactly how the terminology they put on the transcript itself. I don't, Amy, do you?
No, but even when we've talked about it in meetings when it's been pertinent, it's always referred to as credit for work experience. So it seems that the state has sort of picked up on that verbiage that is just commonly used when these credits have been awarded in the past. So on the transcript, it might read CWE for credit for work experience, or it might just read elective credit. That I would have to look into to give you an exact answer.
Yeah, so it might be I mean, look, you can look into this, but it might be appropriate to have a course. I mean, at the university level, we have for instance, internship courses. And it's just that. And then along with and the primary role of that internship is they do get credit for working, whether they're getting paid or not. But the primary role is there's uh, some academic oversight or interaction with the workplace between the instructor of record, it could be the guidance counselor in this case, and the employer, and then at the end or sometime during it, the student gives some kind of progress report. They're very short actually, so it's not onerous for the student, but that way you're getting some within the academic setting some interaction about what's going on, some kind of record. Because this would be I would think you're not going to grade this. This would be a pass fail or satisfactory unsatisfactory.
And
Yeah.
where would they be employed?
Well, they could be employed at Big Y, Stop and Shop. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
it's basically we're just, anywhere where they're getting their pay stub and
Yeah.
we're able to, verify that they're working at in a reasonable performance.
The only other thing that I feel uncomfortable about is not knowing how many credits is going to be allowed. Like if I work for 2 months, am I going to get a credit, a half a credit, a quarter of a credit? If I work for 6 months, so there's no way, and there's nothing in this policy to say how many credits or how do we determine the amount of credit that they're going to get. Maybe that should be in regulations, but I like to see that before I even vote on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And Emery has a hand up.
The State Department of Ed, I mean, I never really got this deep in the weeds with this because it was outside my department. But the State Department of Ed used to have guidelines through, I think, Perkins for work-based learning credit. I can try to look those up. Um, I didn't, in honesty, I didn't do that before this meeting because I wasn't sure, I looked at the policy, but I wasn't sure if there were going to be regulations associated with this. But I can look into those to see if I can find them. That may give us some additional guidance as we prepare the regulations for this.
Thank you, Anne Marie.
Mhm.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be really helpful because what I see with this is because I'll bring up my next point again, but or in a moment, but um, I can see that this is we'll just bring this back again next time to policy if that's okay, because we've got a bit of fact finding to do, and then you all can decide amongst yourselves what you think the best course would be in terms of that attendance point. Um, so I mentioned in the introduction to this that I really cannot find, and Erica asked Cabe about this too, we can't find the, like, if you go down, I think it's one of the lower bullet points. Yeah, it's the 8th bullet point. Let's see. It's Yeah, it's right before those open dots. So it says the principal or designee is responsible for ensuring that the student credit for work experience is compliant with Connecticut student credit for work experience policy. I'm sure that our principals and designee can do that, except that it doesn't seem like anyone can find the Connecticut student credit for work experience policy. This is the act that's mentioned is down below, but and it's sort of new in the last couple of years, but it directs the Connecticut workforce, the chief workforce officer, to develop that policy in conjunction with or consultation with at least the Department of Education, maybe Department of Labor as well. But I can't find it anywhere. So and so as written, fine. Like when that policy comes along, we wouldn't have to change this, but it'd be nice to know if there's actually one out there. And then I will say, in terms of timeline, the actual act says every school system should have this place, I think, for the 24-25 school year. But I can't, just looking around, I couldn't find a school system that has this sort of like new verbiage up. There are probably some
Mike,
out there.
and
Yeah.
I have a ECC principals meeting on Friday morning, so at least I
Yeah.
could bring that up at that meeting and see if any of them have recently done this. So at least that's coming soon.
That's good. That's great. So that's the fact finding. I don't want to delay it because of that, but what I'm saying is that according to the act, it looks like we're behind the times, but according to reality, I think we're right where or ahead of where we need to be. But the important thing is we do want a policy in place that's workable for Fitch. And I was just wondering, in terms of current experiences, are there any elements that aren't in this policy that you'd like to see in there? Um, uh, and you can think on that and come back next time if you like about that, or you don't have to come back necessarily. You can just send them to us.
Thank you.
Mike, here's my concern.
Yeah.
So I'm in the grocery store and I meet a parent or whoever, and they say to me, "Hey, Andrea, I hear you got this new student in the workplace policy. Tell me about the program." My mouth is open. I mean, like, I have no idea what I would say.
Yeah, I changed the subject to something about the produce not being good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and I think at some point we'll get these like highlighted examples as this becomes more currently. Well, for instance, with the this isn't credit for work, but with people getting certifications and licenses and as an EMT and nursing and things like that, you'll be able to talk about highlights and portraits of what this sort of can look like. But we're not there yet.
Anyway, no.
But true. So anyone else want to talk more on this? If not, I'm kind of inclined to move to the we've got our homework to do and move to the next agenda item if you're okay with that.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
All right. Okay. So our next item is item number 4. And if anyone wants to stay for the whole meeting, that's wonderful. If anyone wants to leave, except for the committee members, you're welcome to do so as well. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Yeah, so the next one is discussion on it's both policy and regulation 3323. It's listed on the agenda as purchasing, but it's got a longer title. And this is not a new policy. It's a modification of one actually that we'd modified recently, but this is a lot more detailed, and my guess is a lot more workable, and probably speaks to um, a combination of some of the changes that Rita would like to see, and reflect what actually happens in the school system, and also probably would help address some of the recommendations of the audit, the operational review. Sorry. So Rita, the floor is yours.
I agree. So this is a policy that is written by Shipman and Goodwin. It's based on their model policy. I implemented this in Wyndham 3 years ago, and I'm not going to read through the policy. I just want to talk about the highlights because it is, sort of long. And there is an Appendix A that goes with it that follows the federal guidelines that were put in place, I believe, 4 years ago. There was regulations put in place for purchasing in Board of Eds. So there's an appendix that goes with this. But so the highlights I want to do is basically the policy we have now is very, very restrictive, and it forces us to do sole sources or waivers or documentation because there's no exceptions, basically. So there needs to be exceptions, and one main one comes to my mind is special ed, placements that are IEP driven, those cannot go out to bid, and we should just be doing waivers for them. So I think it's on page, like I said, I'm not going to read the whole policy, but I wanted to point out the exceptions, which we would do a waiver on, and that's starts on page 5. And of course, if anybody has any questions on any part of the policy, feel free to ask me. But on page 5, it talks about waivers and what we would need to do if the purchase fell in this area is prepare a waiver that states why the bidding is waived. So, and that is signed, all the waivers are signed by a superintendent. And trying to think of anything else to add. Like I said, I put this in place in Wyndham, and it covers, I think these 11 areas cover where Board of Eds need flexibility. The other thing is, I think I noticed a typo on the top regarding the limits and when we go out to bid and when we need 3 quotes, and that, but other than that, I'm not sure if anybody has any questions. I don't want to go too fast or.
Yeah, I have some, but I'll let our other committee members go first.
Can I just say something, Mike?
Yes.
Okay.
As an ex officio committee member, go for
it. Rita, I'm glad that you put something in here about special ed, because last year when we met with Floyd, he did tell us that we need to have a carve out for special ed in the purchasing and bidding policy. So I'm glad to see that.
And we need to specify that it's a waiver, because when we were going through when I was being asked to provide information for the ops review when I started late June, they specifically asked, if you didn't go out to bid, where's the waiver? I want the waiver, can you provide the waiver? And I just want to be able to provide the auditors with the backup and of, when things go over 25,000 or whatever limit you guys decide, so that we're complying with policy and also not being so burdensome on my staff. Because right now we are we're using the form that Irene created, which is called a sole source, but a sole source is a reason for a waiver. So that's why I want to change. That's one of the reasons I want to change the policies, because that sole source form that she created does not fit our needs, basically.
Thank you. Andrew, do you have any questions or comments at this point? I mean, this is
No.
detailed, so you know what this one does in terms of it's doing something.
I have
No,
another
no, I have
question
no
though.
questions at this time. Not at this
All
time,
right,
anyway.
thanks. And I'll come back to you, Bev. I'm just gonna
Okay.
give Sean the floor at the moment, just in case he's got questions or comments. All right, Bev, you're up.
No, sorry,
Uh,
I thought I was
Oh,
unmuted.
Sean's up. Sorry, Bev.
No, I am. I have no questions or anything. I'm just listening and following along, and appreciate the detail in here.
All right,
There is
thanks.
a
Go for it,
lot of
Bev.
detail. It's a lot of
yeah.
detail. And
Might
it
be a
also,
record.
I just want to point out that if the town or if the state or regional area cooperative is going out to bid for things, we should be able to do a waiver because they've already gone out to bid. So that's one of the reasons um, in the waiver process. One of the reasons we wouldn't have to go out to bid because they've already done it, you know, and specifically with the state, they do a lot of bidding, and I feel like if we get a state contract, they've already gone out to bid and done the work.
Yeah, and then it also has allowances if you just it's a continuation of something you already purchased too.
Right.
There's a lot of things that really make sense so that actually these are when you the bidding process is genuine. You're genuinely looking in all these cases now for something that would be
I
competitive.
mean, obviously,
Uh,
we go out to bid when we need to go out to bid, but
yeah.
with our $90 million budget, there's a lot of purchases that are $25,000 that we need to do right away. We can't hold, you know, we can't hold up the purchase or whatever we have to do, like with facilities, or if it's an emergency, those exceptions have to be in the policy.
Yeah. And Bev, you had a question again?
Yeah. Uh, my first question would be about the waivers for the legal fees. Could you give me an example of why we need a waiver for legal fees?
Well, one example would be if we had to hire an attorney for special ed and
Mm-hmm.
they're specialized in that area. We wouldn't go out to bid for that attorney.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And on page 3, under G, advisement of bid award, it says upon the acceptance of the lowest responsible qualified bidder. Does that mean we're always taking the lowest bidder, or
No,
can
they
we?
have to be qualified as well. So
Okay.
it doesn't, I don't think it limits you to always take the lowest bid. It's the lowest qualified bid. So you might have areas in a proposal that disqualifies them, but
Okay,
yet they're the lowest.
Yeah, yeah. That's
that
a
makes
very
sense.
typical language, Bev.
Yeah,
So yeah, I like to see that uh, because otherwise people could just throw crazy prices out there just to
Mm-hmm.
win bids and then not
oh,
be
I've
able
had
to
it
fulfill the
happen.
requirements. Yeah, that's
Yes.
Right. Like they throw a low price, but they actually can't do the work.
All right. So that word qualify helps us.
Right.
Okay, thank you, Rita.
Thanks. All right, now I've got a few. I was wondering if you go back to the top part, just the very top. So, I see the business and non-instructional operations is that's a pretty general title. Um, it seems like everything about this is purchasing. Is there a more specific title we could have? Because you do more than just this. But so, um, for instance, is the old title? It doesn't seem the wording quite right, but it seems like it
Right.
has about the right scope. But it's just if we could fine tune that a little bit. Um, to it's almost purchasing guidelines, honestly, but it's
Right,
purchasing and
right. I
bidding.
agree. The business and non-instructional operation, I think that's just a category that might have been on there from
Yeah.
Shipman and Goodwin or CABE, how they have the categories. So, but the
So,
title of the policy should include purchasing.
could we just call it purchasing? I mean, is that would that be okay, or are we?
Yeah, I wanted to look at, I don't know if I can do it quickly on my computer. Let me see if I have something. Whoops. I'll have to look at but I think
Yeah.
you're right, Mike. I think it should like specify and not be so broad about business and non-instructional operations. I think that's just a category it falls in.
Yeah, and I mean this is a bit of what's in the name, but it'll just help a bit. So I'll just write down purchasing, and if you want something more
Yeah, if I
specific or a
find
little
something that
different,
fits, yeah.
we'll put that in. And then I'm going through. It's just on that section B, which is it's starting at the bottom of the page, but if yeah, right there, the wording in here is it's got this legalistic wording that's probably from a state statute. Um, like after going out to bid for a good or service and receiving submissions, so that part's fine. But then this next phrase comes up like 3 times, and part of it's missing once. If the local municipality uses such goods or services, the board shall consult with the legislative body of the municipality, or in the case of municipality for which the legislative body is in a town meeting or representative town meeting,
I
and
think
an
that was
equivalent
supposed to
level.
come out because we don't consult with the town council or
Right.
legislative body when we do biddings. So
Not to worry, it's out.
I think that should come.
Well, that
You sure you
first
don't
one,
want to?
that well, actually, that first one you might want in there, like, but it just needs to be Groton specific because
Yeah,
that first paragraph is about like, hey, the town already has something like Munis, for instance. Can we do it together?
right. I agree. I have
But then
asked them about like electricity or water or things like that. If they're going out to bid, I feel like we should be a part of it if we can be. Does that make
yeah,
sense?
it does. And so the next 2 paragraphs, they each have that thing, and maybe those ones you want out because it says. So I guess it's all about consultations with municipality, that part B. So we do want something in there, but if it's the town council, we can put the town council. If it's supposed to be the town manager, you put the town manager. But
Yeah.
Mike, I'll send you and Erica and maybe I'll send Rita and Beverly. I'll send everybody. I'll just send it to, here's what I'll do. I'll send my revisions. I didn't send them out today because I didn't think we'd be looking at those revisions, but now I see that we are. And I'll send them to Erica and ask her to send it to everybody, okay? So that you can all see what my suggestions are, because I think I cleaned up that language.
Okay,
okay,
great.
that's good.
And in the next area too, Mike, it says 25, but I think there's an
Yeah.
area it says 20. And maybe it's in the next page.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, so actually, yeah. If we stick to, we'll come back to that. I think I caught that
Okay,
one
yeah,
too.
it's
So
something
if we
small,
go
but
to,
not, yeah.
yeah, it's like it's like a combination. The number was changed, but it kind of had
Right.
part of the relic before. If we go still to that first page, now I'm on. So I just wrote down for that uh, part B there. I just said make Groton specific, and then it's that 2A. It so it says this is all about for 25,000 or more, and then that last sentence says at set for such purposes or such purchases in the amount of at least 10,000 but less than 25 may be awarded by a superintendent or his or her designee. And that's fine, I guess, but it seems like it shouldn't be in that part of 25,000 or more. And then it makes me wonder, what about less than 10,000? So I was wondering if that sentence needs to be somewhere else, if there needs to be a provision about less than 10,000. That was a question I had there.
I can look at that and see where it needs to be if it's just got inserted in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
it doesn't make sense. So I'll have to review that sentence and paragraph.
Okay. Now we can go to page 2, and if you see, I don't have that. I think it's on page 3 for me or something that I had the error, but if you have one on page 2.
Mike, can you go back to your two purchasing requiring competitive bidding process 25,000 or more?
Yeah. I mean, I can't.
Are you going to take out after the first sentence, everything else that talks about exclusions, because everything else after that is talking about exclusions.
I think I'd be okay with the exclusions. Maybe Rita can speak to this. It was just that last sentence that seemed
Yeah, it's the
like
last sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's talking about things that aren't like, or less than that value.
But wouldn't
Yeah,
that
it's
be an
just out of place. It's
exclusion?
fine to have, but just out of place.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
thought it would
Yeah.
be part of the exclusions. That's why they put it in there. Okay.
Oh, that's a good point.
You could take a look at it later.
I think I
Yeah.
need to look at the whole paragraph and
Yeah.
yeah, make sure it matches what I wanted it to say.
Okay,
I
yeah.
think me and Erica were looking at, not only were we using the Shipman and Goodwin model policy, but we were also looking at CABE's policy and going back and forth. So CABE's model policy. So it might have been just because we were looking at two different models.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you need to blend them together and then tailor it for ours too. So that's natural, and this is even before our first read. So that's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's good to
And
do that at this stage. I'm going to item G, if that's okay. Just have a quick question on that. I think it's like the third page. Yeah, so it's very short. It's a advisement of bid award. Um, and I just have a note. Well, what about if it was less than 25,000? Because then it's excluded from this bidding process. How do people like do we need to say something about so for 25,000 or more, you have to do this lowest responsible qualified bidder. And then for less than that, you don't necessarily have to go that route. I just thought maybe there has to be a sentence in there about to make it more general, I guess. Because if it's less than $25,000, it may not be the lowest responsible qualified bidder. I don't know. That's just a note I had.
so typically we had a threshold and say it was 25 or 15, whatever the threshold was to go out to bid. There was a threshold. How do I want to say it? Like from 10 to 25, we had to have three qualified quotes instead
Yeah.
of going out to bid. And if we couldn't get those quotes, we went with one of the, then it becomes almost a single source and you do a waiver. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I'm just asking a simpler question because the way that first sentence, upon acceptance of the lowest responsible qualified bidder, which has to happen for the 25K or above, but
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to happen for the 25K or below, because it doesn't have to be the lowest responsible qualified bidder. You don't even have to establish that. Um, uh, it just seems like maybe we don't need that first phrase. Upon acceptance of the lowest responsible qualified bidder, it probably just needs to say a letter will be sent to the successful bidder
I see what you're
announcing.
saying.
Yeah, because we already lay out that process earlier.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
see
good
what you're
point, Mike.
saying.
Yeah, I
Sometimes it's
sort
redundant,
Yeah.
like some of the words are redundant in the paragraph. So yeah, I see what you're saying.
and so if we just get that, I took a long way to get home on that one for me. And, and the next one is that section 4, part A. I think this is where the error is. It's right. It was on screen before. It's just right. The good right a little down lower. Yeah, perfect. Um,
Yeah, there's
uh,
something wrong with that paragraph because I see 105,000.
yeah, I think it probably was 15,000, and then
Yes, and it didn't
there's
get
no dollar
fixed.
sign. It's supposed to go to 10,000. That's just a typo, and then the 10,000's there. Which should that be 15 or something? It seemed like a different threshold, or maybe it's 25. I don't know. Something needs to be fixed there, right?
Yeah, because I mean, it's up to the board's, discretion of what the threshold should be. I think the old threshold in the old policy 7,500, I think that's low,
Mhm.
but we could go 10, 15, but sorry about those errors because I didn't notice that.
It's
But
fine.
whatever it is that we decide on, we can put in there.
What would you like as sort of the first go at this? Would it be the 10 or the 15?
I think between 10 and 25, we try to get three quotes, not bids, three quotes, over 25 is when you start the bidding process.
Yeah, 25 is when legally you need to start the bidding process.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So then
I think
10.
quotes is fine for the 10 to 25.
And
Okay.
under 10, we don't have to get quotes. We can go with any vendor.
Got it. Okay, so
but
that
between 10
second
and
one.
25, it doesn't. I just want to make sure we don't designate that we have to go with the lowest price, correct?
No.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure
See,
because
what
I want to make
was
sure that we're getting qualified bidders.
The
Yeah.
only time we
was
go with the
missing-
lowest price is when it goes out to bid. I mean,
what was
we have to
missing
go-
there was the
Sorry.
dollar sign. So when I looked at that, all I did was put in the dollar sign. I looked at the 105 and all that, and I thought, this is nuts, but I'll put in the dollar sign.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be 10,000.
I think
So
it is, yes. I
yeah.
think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, purchases less than 10,000 may be made directly without regard to any. Yeah, that makes sense.
And then the next one, that part B, it's just that first line, so we don't have to slide it at all. It's just right at the bottom of the page. It generally quotations, either oral or written, should be solicited. I thought, well, why have oral there? Wouldn't you always want them written? I can't see a reason for having a oral.
I agree with you.
I do too.
It's just
Yeah.
so if we strike that one.
I'm not into the oral quotation. No,
Yeah.
I don't want it
No.
verbally. No.
Yeah, because it's hard to, then you have to make a record of the oral. It gets reduced to writing at some point. Might as well have it from the.
I mean, now that we
person.
have email, it's in writing.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, see, when I looked at that, I thought, does this come from the town charter? And I wasn't realizing it was from the law firm. I thought it was from the town
No,
charter.
it's from Shipman
and
and
maybe,
Goodwin. Yeah.
and maybe we shouldn't touch the language there if it's in the charter. So now we
Yeah.
know.
Okay.
And then if you go down just a little bit to the end of this section B, that last paragraph there, that the purchase shall be awarded to the provider whose proposal is deemed to be best provide the good and or service desired, et cetera, et cetera. I that seems out of place here because it's the process for obtaining quotations, not for awarding them. I don't disagree with it, but it just seemed out of place.
Wait, did I hear you say, because this is non-instructional, but it was the law firm that said that special ed had to be in there?
No, it wasn't the law firm. The law firm has a model policy and it suggests having waivers for things that we don't or can't go out to bid for. I'm the one that's saying that the policy we have now does not, or the old policy before last year's revision had exclusions for special ed, then that was taken out. And we need to get it back in because
Right.
we can't be going out to bid for special ed, but it wasn't the law firm.
Okay, but
It was a
it's not,
recommendation from Floyd too, Andrea.
I did hear that then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
Floyd,
Different
yes,
law
I'm
From
sorry.
Floyd.
Different
Yeah.
law
Yeah.
firm, sorry.
Yeah, okay. So if it's not instructional, we're talking about painting walls and stuff. And I'm like, when I'm reading this, I'm looking at like, putting in new sewer things and stuff, electrical systems, not educational. And it even says non-education or non-instructional. So I'm thoroughly confused on where we are with this. Maybe I'm just thoroughly confused.
So you're asking,
Yeah, why is
so
special ed in here when it's non-instructional?
I think I think that I don't that came from the title. Does non-instructional
Yeah,
show up
that
again?
title,
Right,
I
that came
think,
from the title.
Yeah, we're getting
I
rid of
think
that
that-
title.
yeah, the title does not make sense because this is for all purchasing, including instructional.
Yeah,
Andrea,
it
do you
might be.
remember Mike just talked about that?
But
He
I
talked
think it's
about getting rid of the
non-instructional
title.
operations.
Yeah,
It
Yeah.
does not,
I remember I still had the question.
Yeah.
okay.
All right, and then I'm just kind of going through. I just have a couple more things on. I think it is next page. It's like item B there. So right about there, there's this right above B. It says purchases of special or professional services that are expected to be less than 5,000 shall be made directly by a superintendent or designee without regard to competitive proposal process. I was wondering if that was supposed to be 10,000.
Yeah, that's supposed to be 10.
So maybe that's that one. Um, and then um, it's on screen right now. Down to the bottom, there's that C, formal competitive proposal process, 25,000 and above. The first line says request for proposals for purchases of special or professional services for 20,000
Yeah,
or
that
more.
should be
I'm guessing
25.
that's 25.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good catch.
Yeah, we'll find more. Like it's just you'll always these things
I'm
will
sure.
always do
I'm
that.
sorry.
Yeah. No,
Rita, no
it's
need to apologize. This is
yeah.
a
Yeah.
heavy lift.
I've just been so focused on budget and I didn't review this enough as I should.
We're
It's
No,
working on a
no,
budget.
yeah. There's no apologies necessary. After I proof my own writing for the last time, I consider it perfect, and I don't read it for a few months, and then I can come back
And then you find
see all the errors that were still there. So it still hurts, but not as much. And then let's see. So that's C. There's just a statement that I guess I don't know about. Oh, actually, I was unsure if we wanted this in here. It's in that C. It's the third paragraph. It says it's kind of a skinny paragraph. Where possible, proposals should be solicited from at least 3 potential service providers. The refusal to submit a proposal from an otherwise valid provider shall qualify as a proposal. How do you document that refusal? Is that you go out and um, try to that seemed weird to me, but I'm not in this business, so maybe you know how that actually comes up.
it did come up with transportation. So like in Wyndham, we went out to bid for transportation and we were told by one of the main transportation companies, no, I'm not bidding. So it was they refused to put in a bid, basically. So that refusal counted as a bid. It counted as
How
a
does that?
like
Okay.
counted as a that's what I'm trying to give you an example. I think it has happened.
No, we had that with transportation too. I think
You
only
did?
2 came in. So is that how's that documented? How's a refusal documented?
Typically it's via email. Like,
Okay.
that's what I've gotten via email. No, we don't plan on bidding.
Should we put written refusal, or is that
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean,
Mm,
because a verbal refusal would be hard to prove.
yeah,
mhm.
exactly. So
So that was on C,
I
paragraph
use
3.
that around the house for leftovers. No, no one said they wanted it. So
I like your
actually,
style.
that was my last one.
Oh, it does say the process shall be documented in writing.
Oh, good.
Is
Yeah,
that the part?
yeah. That's the
Yeah.
next sentence.
Yeah, that's the next
Because
sentence.
Yeah.
I didn't get that far, I guess. No, thanks. I just didn't know what that actually, if that occurred, but it's quite clearly it does.
It's weird how it talks about that because to be honest, those are in the waiver. The last sentence says if a single reasonable source exists for that service, this fact shall be documented in writing. But a single source can be a reason for a waiver. So you wouldn't have to bid. So it kind of contradicts it, but
Got it. So that was it for me. Does anyone else have any comments, questions, suggestions?
No, look, we caught a lot. I'm good. I'm
So, Bev and Andrea,
Yes.
you're my intellectual resources on this one. What happens next with this? We've identified some uncontentious areas like grammar to clean up. some words to add that we've talked about in the meeting, some things to look at. Does it come back to policy so that we look at this like refined version again? Do we just get to see that and then it gets slated eventually for first read? Process wise, what happens next in this situation?
I think that well, I'll send those things to Erica. She'll send them to everybody. Everybody will look at it. And then I think it needs to come back. I think, Beverly, I don't know about you, that it needs to come back to policy, and we need
Got
to
it.
maybe just restructure everything.
Yeah, that
Not
sounds
everything.
correct.
I agree.
But yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And that would help us, like if you didn't do it that way, then when you get to our first meeting with the board, that's when a lot of changes occur. So it's good to bring it back to policy.
That would never happen. Yeah, okay. So actually this our next meeting's agenda is writing itself. So that's what we're getting here.
I just want to add that this policy and appendix will replace the current policy and regulation.
Yes. Yeah.
Because
for
it's
sure.
the regulations part is in the policy, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Did you want to talk? We don't have to at this point. Did you want to speak to the regulation at all? I mean, you can, or we could do it next time.
No, I think when we come back after I fix all those grammar and number issues, which I'm really embarrassed about because there's numbers.
Don't worry about it, Rita.
I wouldn't be. It's an internal consistency problem where the same number is written many times, and those are hard to catch.
Yeah.
So
we're not trading you in, Rita. Don't worry about it.
And the appendix is straight from the law. So, the appendix is long, and we can review that next time, but it is straight from, the actual statute. So the federal statutes.
Got it. Okay. Well, we can move to the next agenda item. I will say we are an hour and 12 minutes into this. I can see the one after it, the library material selection, that's about sunsetting the policy. So if this next one goes long, we can talk about whether we want to treat that one tonight or not, because I think it'd be quick whenever it happens. But so the next item is item number 5, discussion on P3160, transfer of funds. I think it has a different name. That one's also one for you, Rita.
Yeah, so this one shouldn't take as long. It's not a very long policy, but it's important because it came up with the ops review. So basically it's changing it's adding a board budget procedure and line item transfers. That's going to be the new name instead of transfers of fund between budget functions, because state law says that we have to transfer between big buckets, which are listed right on that first page. And that's why I want to change it. This is another model, Shipman and Goodman model policy that I implemented in Wyndham. So the only thing I did notice on this first page where the categories are is that supplies is its own category. Other purchase services is its own, and then supplies should be tabbed down to say including utilities. So this is basically changing our budget transfer policy from a function to a major object, because that's the state law.
And I see now, actually, I was misreading before on that other policy, as you said, that top line, like for here we have business non-structural operations. That's what you're saying, that this is the category.
It's just the category that these 300s go into.
And I see the like here we had the old version, the old title crossed off, transfer of funds between budget functions. Now the new one is board budget procedures and line item transfers. On the other one, it was just tabbed down more, and the new name was purchasing guidelines, which might be okay.
Yeah, that I think that's
So sorry about
basically
that.
what it is. So yeah.
Does anyone have a questioning, comments on this one?
Well, it says the itemized estimate provided to the Board of Finance.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll speak to that then too, more broadly.
Okay.
So on this one, the title is board budget procedures and line item transfers.
Yeah, so
To,
that should be
oh,
what
sorry.
that should be town council.
Yeah, probably, but actually, I think this is a case where the new this new policy is trying to do two things, and,
Yeah.
I would just suggest we stick to the line item transfer part of it, and I think it would be nice in policy to have articulated the steps that the budget goes through every year. But I feel like it would get bogged down because now we're going to get to, well, there's the Board of Finance thing, and then it says, following the annual appropriation, the board shall meet and revise the itemized estimate and all these things. When really what we're talking about is we have I guess it'd be, I don't know if you want to call it the itemized estimate or the approved budget. It's in these categories, and this is the process for doing the line item transfers. I thought we just want that kind of like clean, just about the line item transfers. That'd be my suggestion. I don't know if people had different thoughts on that, or if you did, Rita, as well.
Well, where you at, Mike? In the beginning, in the first
Yeah,
paragraph, and then she lists her salaries. Is that
I,
where you
I
are?
I love that. I love that first paragraph and the different categories. As
Mm-hmm.
mentioned, this is state law.
All right.
That's all going to set up for line item transfers. It also speaks to the budget and the budget process. But then right after that list, um,
Mm-hmm.
you get the board shall review the recommendations, suggestions, Board of Finance, which you brought out. And then the next one is following the annual appropriation. And then if it's scrolled down longer, then the superintendent shall be responsible for administrating and monitoring the budget through the year. Okay, these are good
Mm-hmm.
things. And then
Okay.
the next one, such budget report shall be presented to the board. I think we have that in other policies. I just suggest, like, we've got those 4 paragraphs right down: the board, following the annual, the superintendent, such budget reports. We could just get rid of them from here, and now we go, like, we'd need a little verbiage, but based on the expenditures and budget projections, um, then we're recommending the transfers. Like, it just seems like it's trying to set up, as the new title says, the whole budget process and
Mm-hmm.
financial reporting,
Mm.
which seems like just too much for one policy.
So you
Um,
suggesting taking out that paragraph that says such budget reports should be presented?
a few of them, yeah, like the board shall no based on such such budget reports. I'd say goes the one above it. The superintendent or designee shall be responsible for administrating and monitoring the budget. Following the annual appropriation, the board shall meet and review the itemized estimate. This is like a lot of our work through the year condensed into um, sort of a timeline and operations summary. I don't know that the policy on line item transfers needs that to get bogged down there. But Rita, I was wondering, did
That's
did the review want that specifically in there?
I think it's because the state statute addresses both the budget and line item transfers. So
I saw,
I
yeah, I
thought,
looked around. I saw kind of like a, not half and half, but some districts had it just line item
yeah,
transfer. Some
I
had it
agree. I
sort of like
agree.
this.
We can take those out and just have it for line item transfers and that they're transferred by the big buckets, not by function.
Yeah,
Well, they're transferred by either way, but we just have to make sure that the board is approving and making sure the transfers are done by major objects, because that's what the law says.
Yeah, and for me, that's like the essential ingredient that we want to get through, so
Mhm.
that so our policy is in line with the state, and then your what you are doing is in sync with that, easily in sync with that, in both too. I can see this coming in front of the whole board. And if I were sitting there, I'd be saying, well, uh, is that really how we want our financial reports? you know, so
Yeah, I see what you're
something
saying.
like, do we need more detail there? Um, and instead of the line item transfer, which most of it doesn't seem contentious because, well, it kind of can't be. So, I don't know that was my biggie on this one. I've got another one, but
Because all of the only thing that the policy has now is just like two paragraphs about budget transfers, right? If you scroll down,
yeah,
right?
two or three, yeah.
Yeah. Literally the only thing. Yeah, and we're also talking about unexpended funds, which is not line item transfer related.
So
And
out of all this policy that we have in front of us, what would you keep?
that page, that second page,
Yeah, the
and
second
then
page, because like I said, the statute addresses unexpended funds.
yeah,
We don't have to get into much detail on the first page, like you said, Mike. Take some of those paragraphs out if you think we don't need to get too detailed. But definitely this page, we need to agree with the percentage of the, there's a line, the first paragraph,
Yeah.
how much, what is Susan's authority to sign off on before it comes to the board? I don't think there was a dollar figure in the old policy at all.
yeah, the old policy is right below, and that was very recently updated.
Yeah,
Um,
Was
last
it?
year.
I
Was
think the
it?
shortcomings, the one clear shortcoming was it didn't have that list of 8 items, eight
Oh,
uh,
right. The
uh,
the the
objects.
categories. It has
Yeah,
to have the categories listed, right?
yeah. So that's one thing we absolutely need. Um, the unexpected funds part, I think we might have a policy on non-lapsing funds. In
Oh,
this was
if we
just a,
already have it, then
I'm going to check.
Yeah, we do. I think we do, Mike, have a
Yeah,
non-lapse in fund policy.
yeah, then definitely take that out.
and then so it's like the first part, and then this part, and a little bit of the end of the first page. Um, I did
All
have
right.
one
Can you
question.
go over again what you're taking out for me so I
Yeah,
can
yeah. Let's go
check
from
it?
the top.
Yeah.
This
All
is
right.
just my
Thank you, Mike.
suggestion.
All right.
This
So
is
that's
a
okay.
suggestion. I'm not trying to railroad through, even though it'll sound like it. Uh, just we could probably keep the name of this as just line item transfers,
Mm-hmm.
and then we're keeping that first paragraph and that list.
Mm-hmm.
Um, right after that, we might need to say something about like itemized estimate or the budget. We might need something about that, um, because then we're talking about transferring in the budget. And then right at the bottom of this page, I think it's, yeah, that last paragraph. We do need something like this. This is where it's talking about why we need to do a line item transfer. And it says as needed. I think this paragraph would need some. Um, there's no provision for board approval in this, and I think we definitely want that in, because that's what we've been doing actually, and that's worked quite well actually this year, I think. Um, so somewhere in here we need board approval. The old policy talked about, before transferring, you get board approval unless it's an emergency, and then there's reporting out. There's some of that talk about like emergency stuff, but I think we
Well, I
need.
think the board approval's in the next paragraph,
Yeah.
the first paragraph on the second page.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where
So,
we have to set a threshold. Because
yeah, let's see. Does it say?
it's transfers between the board budget so it's talking about transfers between the broad categories in the
Mhm.
itemized estimate. made in such and shall be announced at the next regularly scheduled meeting. Yeah, I thought it
But
said something.
yeah, it's sort of like it doesn't. So the old policy kind of shouts out board approval.
Got it.
It's like the second line of it says the superintendent with board approval. It probably just needs to be in there earlier as a statement, I'd say, because I think that we're talking about the process we're doing right now,
Right.
and and just we don't have to detail that. I just know that if it doesn't say the phrase board approval, people like me would get hung up on that,
No,
including
I
me.
get it.
So and then Bev continuing, we'd keep all this, and then that unexpended funds. I I think if we're both remembering that we do have a non-lapsing fund policy, I think that wording's probably in there. We do have a non-lapsing fund policy. I just don't know
Okay.
if the wording's in there. And so it could be referred to here if you wanted to, but it might not even need to be.
If we're taking out board budget procedures, then it doesn't need to be there, in my opinion,
Okay.
because it doesn't apply to transfers.
And then I have a small one. It's at the bottom of this page. It's just the legal references. Um, just we, it's helpful to have like the titles in of those legal references, because sometimes it's just powers of the Board of Education. You're like, well, that's not going to tell me much. Sometimes it's very specific. Transfer of funds between functions or something like that. So most of our policies, I think, actually have that title. There's some shortened version of it.
The title of the statute, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, the first line of it or something is what people often do. And so, yeah, you can see this was revised last April. So,
All right.
Now, this policy was looked at quite often. I mean, and then it was revised in October. Oh no, my mistake. I thought it said 2024. It says 2004.
yeah. But I mean,
Yeah.
the rationale is clear. We operational review,
Mhm.
and we want it in line with what's actually being done, and
Mhm.
yeah. So Rita, for this one, since we'll be coming back for the other one, should we just
Oh, yeah.
come back and take a look at that? This is where the past chair of this committee would line edit stuff. I'm not as facile with that as he is, but I can see the benefits of that approach. But we'll keep it straight. We've got the record recording too.
Right. We got the recording, so.
So, but I don't think every detail needs to be in the minutes. However, so just pointing that out.
Those would be super long minutes.
Yeah.
Those would be
if I were
hours
writing
instead of minutes.
Yeah, it's true. I tend to write hours when I write minutes, but I don't have to do that, which is nice.
Thank you for looking at both of these policies. I really appreciate us looking at them and revising them. It will make, my department run smoother.
Yeah, and both of these, as I said, these are clearly, so it answers Andrew your question. So what does these do? What do these do? These ones are very clear, and it has a day-to-day effect on the operations, which is important.
Right.
So you're going to rewrite this policy, Rita, take out stuff that we don't
I'm going to
need?
talk to Erica and hopefully we can listen to the recording and revise it.
Okay. And then
Yeah.
don't forget, you can always call Mike up and he'll help you along.
Yeah.
I made
might
some
even
notes
remember
on my
myself.
thing, but yeah, definitely on that and the purchasing one, fix up the numbers and rewrite it a little bit.
We should put Bev in charge of that.
No, this is your committee.
No, Erica,
I know.
Erica,
I'm assigning.
I think Erica does a great job. I should have
Yeah.
reviewed it more. But
No,
No, that's
no,
good.
no.
Okay. And so, Rita, we're going to talk about one more policy, but it's about libraries. So,
or
if you
I'm gonna
care to
head
stay,
home
you
because
can.
I'm
Yeah.
still at work. So
I can
Okay.
tell by the I can
Goodbye,
tell by the
Rita.
file cabinet that you're
Yeah.
still at work.
Yeah. Have a
Well,
safe trip home, Rita.
Yeah.
thank
yeah.
you. Thanks so much.
Thank you very, very much. Take care.
Thanks.
All right. I think we can do the libraries one. If you're, is everyone okay with this? Like kind of 5 to 10 minutes?
Yeah, 5 to 10 minutes should work.
Okay. I've given myself a time frame and now I don't even have the policy. Now
There
I've
you
got it.
go.
So the next item on the agenda is discussion on P6163.1 library materials selection. And this is on here because I would propose that we sunset this policy. The reason for sunsetting it is we had kind of first and second readings of library policies at the last regular board meeting, and that's to get our policies in line with the latest legislation. We were sort of ahead of the game, and we had a very similar version to it with a different number, but the regulation, the act was very specific about the wording, everything like the title of the policies and the elements that are in. So this one was close, but not exact. So it will be replaced by when we approve the second readings of the new version. I don't have the number of that one right now,
Sure.
but the idea is this policy is here. It's been here for some time, first in 1999 and updated in 2023. But we're replacing it with something that has these functions and new wording.
Should we? I agree. Should we hold off sunsetting until the other policy is in place so that we have a policy?
It will be in, if we recommend that this be sunsetted now, it will come up in the
As soon as
agenda, actually either the same meeting or the meeting after our second reading of the other one. But yes, I would say absolutely we need something else in place.
yeah.
So
Okay.
we can put that in.
Sunsetting me.
Yeah. You
Getting
can
rid
put
of
it
it.
in, Mike, on the next agenda on for January 26th. We'll just put this after we hopefully approve the new one.
Yeah, and I guess that's a good point. Sean had I could frame the motion that the we as the policy committee recommend sunsetting policy 6163.1 library material selection once the new library policies are in place.
Right. That sounds good.
I am all for that.
Would you like to second it?
I would like to second it.
Okay,
If
so
you need
we
it.
can we can discuss it more if you like.
Oh, I can't wait.
No, I think we're good. I think we look at the policy. Is that going to be part of the next agenda for the next board meeting, Bev?
Yeah, that's what I just said. I said we
Okay.
would put this on after we
Okay.
approve the new one.
Perfect. I was just making sure that the new one will be part of it. Perfect. I'm good then.
And that really is homework for Beth. So I did get to do that. That's nice.
Hold on, and I'll check for sure, Sean. Hold on.
Okay.
Do you want to? We can vote on it while we're waiting. Everyone in favor
All right.
of that recommendation? Aye.
I really don't know what sunsetting means. That means
Oh,
like just throw it
It
out.
means it goes away.
Yeah,
we're
it goes
removing
away.
it.
That's what I figured, but I didn't know that for sure.
Like
Yeah.
when the sun sets.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's a term I use all the time at work. So
Yeah. It's nice. Do you
it's better than getting rid of, right? It sounds
Yeah.
nice. Yeah,
My
So-
word
replacing.
is-
has a bit of grace to it. So in voting, Andrea, would you be in favor of removing it, sunsetting it?
I surely would.
Great. So that pass, and that's all our votes. So that passes unanimously, 3-0-0. And Bev's looking it up, so we'll kind of hang
Yeah.
on right now.
Because the new policy is P6161.13, library collection, development, and maintenance policy.
I think it's that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's on the agenda for January 26th for
Yeah.
second reading.
Yeah. So if we had this right after, it'd just be smooth. There's not harm in having both of them. It just look weird. All right. I'm gonna move to the next agenda item, which is the review and referral of tracking list. I actually do have that. So Bev, I'm never sure about this. Are we allowed to take things off of this? Because I feel like the best, it seems to be written out that this goes off the tracking list once a policy has had its second reading and been approved, not once policy committee is done with it. Is that how you'd like that to go?
Can you say that again? I'm sorry, Mike.
So we've got a few items on the policy committee referral list, and the ones that have been completed, it says date completed, and it's the regular meeting because it's had its second reading.
Right.
So I think that's probably the way it should be done. So nothing comes off our list in a policy committee meeting. It comes off after being approved at a board meeting.
Because if it wasn't approved at the board meeting, it'd probably come back to policy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to cross things off though, but
you can cross the
I can't, not for
6141.
real.
But Mike, you could cross off the policy 6141 in regards to the 6 steps, right? The 6 steps, was that the curriculum development one? And we went from 6 steps to 5?
Yeah, but was that? Oh, maybe Anne Marie would know. I don't. Is that seemed like it was the second reading at that point?
We approved it. I talked about it last night when I gave all the new policy, but Anne Marie can speak on it. I have it was approved on December 15th.
Which one was that again?
It was the curriculum development
Yeah,
steps.
that one was approved.
Good. So that was the 12/16/2025?
12/15.
Oh, 12/15, thank you. Okay, so that's the last one on our list of 5. It's not the only ones left, but that's the last one listed. So I just crossed that out. That felt good. Thank you. The other 2 right now are discussion on P1312 and P1312.4 public anonymous complaint process and procedure. That's one of them. And the other one that's not crossed off yet is review financial reconciliations policy on a monthly basis. That one, since you're here, I looked at that and I wasn't exactly sure. I remember out of the operational review, they wanted to see that the accounts were reconciled with the ledger, I think, with the town. Is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah, and actually, John Burke advised me that we should have a policy that we are reconciling our checkbooks or whatever every month because we haven't been doing that. I don't know if it's already a policy already or not, but I didn't look it up to see if there was a policy, but it came from the operational review.
Okay.
I'm back, so I can say that Rita is absolutely doing that. But I don't know. We should check to see if we have it in policy.
Right.
Okay. So that one could make sense. If we'll check to see if it's in policy. Maybe Rita's the best person to check that.
Yeah.
Because she'd want to see if it's like up to standard to what she'd expect. And then we could bring that to the next policy meeting, probably because she'd be here anyway for the other 2. Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you, Bev.
You're welcome.
Does anyone have any questions? Those were the two items. Shauna, Andrea, do you have questions on the referral list?
But Mike,
No.
I gave you a referral. I'm pretty sure. I can't remember what it was.
It's not on the list, Bev. Sorry.
Sorry, Beth. Not happening.
What was it? I forget.
I think you did actually.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
It had to do with oh shoot.
I'll look it up. You can look it up, and I'm sure Erica we'll get it on this. We'll get it on.
We'll get it on the sheet.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I do remember you saying that. So that's good.
It has to do. Oh, you know what it has to do with for policy? I just remember the rate schedule, the facility rate schedule. It needs to be updated.
Oh, that's exactly right.
Okay.
And it was in regulations, but it should be in policy. And
Right.
even Rita said so. So we're going to have Erica put it in the policy instead of the regulation and vote on it.
That's right, because I tried to punt it back to finance and facilities.
No go. It's a policy.
That's not happening.
And I forget the policy number. I think I told you, Mike, the policy. I can't remember offhand.
No, but I do know. I do know that one. So we'll have that on our list for sure. You know, it's a little demoralizing. We crossed one off. We just added one back on.
And
that's how policy works.
Mike, and the other suggestion I gave to you, you remember?
Yes. And I'll bring that up in future meeting topics, which are the next agenda item.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments on the referral? So we might have to mute Bev on the next one. We'll see. Okay, so our next agenda item is future meeting topics. And I'll just say broadly, first of all, we can see our next meeting is going to be a lot like this one, just a second look at the policies we saw. Probably shorter look, I'd say. And then Bev brought up, I think, well, actually, Bev, you can speak to it because you were at, I think it was a conference or a meeting about it.
Yeah, I went to a policy workshop, and the presenter suggested that the board every year take one series out of the policy book and review it. So I called up Michael and I asked Michael, as the chair of the policy committee, would he be willing to do that? And he said he would bring it up at the committee and discuss it. So that's what they suggest, that you take one series, like the 1000 series. And I even looked through the policy book, and we have a lot of old policies. You know, some might not need to be changed, but at least you can write revised on so-and-so date. But some of them go all the way back to 1997, 1996, so they're quite old.
Erica may even have a chart that describes some of those older ones. So I should find out from her if she has something we can start with.
Well, they just suggest taking a series. So take the 2000 series and just go through the 2000. They didn't suggest doing it randomly. Go through this policy, take a whole series and look through a whole series.
Yeah, it's a way to structure it. I wouldn't want to kind of unnecessarily read through a lot of policies, but I do like the idea, because right now we're working on, well, we're adding new required or recommended policies or things that come up and need to be updated. But you do need that other look of what's in our body of policy, and if there is something from the 1990s. I know, Susan, that bothers you, so you do get those put up to be reviewed. But to have that look, say in the 2000s, there are these set number of policies that haven't been looked at for a while. Let's make sure they're on our list.
Like, and you could do like anything older than 2015. You know, you can make it work for you.
Yeah.
I just wanted to give your committee more work to do. You know, you and Sean are new to it. So
that's what it felt like.
Keeping us on our toes.
We were on break too. We were on break. Yeah, we will take that structured look as well. So I do want to make sure we get through the these time sensitive finance related ones
Yeah.
first.
It's a
to do
priority.
that.
Yeah.
Anybody have any other suggestions for future meeting topics?
How about for this meeting?
What did you say?
How about for this meeting?
Oh, well, no, it's future. But what would you like? You say what you like to say.
Motion to adjourn.
I second.
All in favor?
All right.
We're in favor. The meeting's adjourned.